Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Look, I'm almost getting festive, you know.
Can you hear me, Christopher?
Only nearly.
Really?
But look, I've got a little Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That's about the size of my Christmas tree in the whole house.
No, not that you're a Grinch at all, Chris.
Can
you see I've got a Father Christmas napkin?
Oh, a napkin holder.
I've got a Father Christmas napkin holder. Napkin of Father Christmas. That's for a surprise present.
The Grinch look happy.
I think you're right, Chris. I think you're right. I haven't got the Advent candle lit because last week it almost caught on fire. So I've got it here, but it is unlit, and I don't want to risk setting the house on fire this near to Christmas. Any other time of the year, maybe, but not this year. Not this close to Christmas.
So there we go. You see, even your local rector is getting festive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. As you can see, I'm kind of dressed down a bit today from the collar and all the rest of it because I'm trying to be incognito for a few days. But yes, dear viewer, this is indeed, as you probably heard Chris say as he turned on the microphones earlier. This will be the last of our Rev Chats for a few weeks because both Chris and I and Harry are taking some time off over Christmas and into the new year, and so this will be it. And so we're going to address a little bit about Mary, Jesus' mother, baby Jesus. Out of anybody?
Yeah,
or make an ass of anybody?
Shall I read from Luke?
Yeah, why not, Chris? We don't need a pause anymore, so get into it, Chris.
Let's get on with it. In those days, Mary set out and went with haste to a Judean town in the hill country, where she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the child leapt in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit, and exclaimed with a loud cry, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. And why has this happened to me, that the mother of my Lord comes to me? For as soon as I heard the sound of your greeting, the child in my womb leapt for joy. And blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord." And then the reading goes on for the great Magnificat, which you can all go and look up yourself.
Yeah. Which I once preached in Salisbury Cathedral about and called it the gospel before the gospel. How about that? That was very profound of me, I thought.
From humble beginnings of Salisbury Cathedral, you've made it all the way to talk about it on Rev Chat.
I have. Yeah, it's a lovely story again. As I said last week, Chris, when we were sharing on Rev Chat, this wonderful book, Shine On, Star of Bethlehem, which I've used. This is an old one. This is the second one, which has fallen to bits. But there's a lovely poem which fits in with it. Can I read it? Yeah, I don't think our viewer will mind if I err and stray from my way like a lost sheep and read something instead of just talk. It's called Pondering These Things, and the poem is called Nativity Gift List. Dear God, please give me the unquestioning faith of Mary, the tolerance of Joseph, the patience of the donkey, the kindness of the innkeeper, the reverence of the oxen, the joy of the angels, the obedience of the shepherds, the perseverance of the wise men, the Christ child in my heart today. That was written by a lady called Heather Johnston. And I've always loved that poem, and no doubt we'll read it several times in churches over the next week or two. I just think it says so much about what this story is all about, isn't it? You know, I can't imagine, first of all, Mary having done what she did. You just can't. It's almost like an unreal story, isn't it? You know, an angel comes, says to Mary, "You're going to have the baby Jesus. It's God's wish." And she accepts that task, that role. And then all that goes on towards the end when she has to make her way to, to somewhere just to be registered, and all that goes on that night, and all that she then sets herself up for over the next 30, 40 years, or 30 years. It's just an unbelievable story, isn't it?
So it's one of those of, did it really happen? Is almost what you end up thinking, which of course it did.
Yeah.
There's enough there to prove it was an historical event. But it's, and like you say, in all those little attributes there that you were reading,
yeah,
goodness me, isn't that a hard list to achieve? We might be able to manage one or two of them some of the time, but all of them all of the time must be
unbelievable.
We really would have halos on our heads if we were able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a wonderful thing to do. It's this back to what I mentioned last week, and it's part of this story. The fact that Mary took time not just to say yes, but to think about it as well. Ponder all these things in her heart and all the rest of it. She took time to think about it. She took time to reflect on it. Something I think we've almost lost the ability to do today. This reflecting and sitting and thinking, because we all have difficult.
It's almost been my message over Advent, really, isn't it? I mean, I've used the phrase, I think I used it last week on Rev Chat, I probably did have used it. It's this thing called active waiting.
Yeah.
Which is it's sat between rushing around doing all the preparing, buying presents, writing cards, wrapping presents, buying turkeys, and all the stuff that we have to do.
Yeah.
That's preparing. Waiting is sitting in a doctor's waiting room waiting for the buzzer to go so it's your turn to go and see the doctor, and you're just twiddling your thumbs doing nothing, in effect, waiting. But this active waiting is actually, Jesus is coming. What does it mean? I'm reflecting, I'm thinking. So you're actively doing stuff, but waiting. And it's sitting in between the idleness and the rushing around as our preparations.
I did pinch your phrase, Chris. I hope you don't mind. I did attribute it to you, actually, when I gave my address in Drimton last Sunday morning. I said how you made me stop and think with this idea of waiting, not just being a passive thing, but being an active thing.
I don't think of it as an original idea from me. It was in one of my research books I read.
It
and I
doesn't
can't
matter.
remember which one to attribute it properly.
Yeah. But yeah, it is important. And then the rest of this, as he calls it, the nativity gift list, is important because Mary, having signed up in effect to being the bearer of the Christ child, then has to be supported. And we all know that Joseph could have taken all kinds of action, couldn't he, over the situation. Because they were bound together, not married, but bound together. He could have returned and asked for his money back that he'd given her the kind of down deposit on her. And a woman who got pregnant out of wedlock, of course, could have been stoned to death. But he was patient. He says here the tolerance of Joseph. Tolerance seems a bit harsh. With me, it's faithfulness of Joseph as well, in saying, no, I'm happy to support her. And yeah, the patience of the donkey. It's a long journey. Joe, as we know, our good friend Reverend Joe, Canon Joe now, I should say, sorry, if you're looking in, Joe. She's always poo-pooed, so to speak, knowing it's a donkey. The fact the donkey took part in the story, but it's, if it did, and there must have been something for her to have got to where she got to, it had to be patience. Was the innkeeper kind? Well, we take this kind of thing about the fact that he allowed them to use his outhouse or whatever. Although the story varies a bit there. And then yes, Jesus as a child, a baby, was revered, wasn't he? Not just by the visitors, the famous wise men, but the shepherds and the animals around must have wondered what was going on, and looked in. It all makes for a story which is just fascinating to me.
Fascinating story, and I suppose it's been quite good going to the school nativity place, watching the little children play out all those little parts.
Yeah.
and reminding us in very simplicity, very simple terms, this is the story that we remember.
Mm. Have you had any strange nativities this year, Chris?
Variations on a theme.
You haven't had a wiggly nativity. You haven't had a calypso nativity or a wiggly nativity or anything like that, have you?
No, not a calypso nativity or a wiggling nativity. I've had shepherds falling asleep and yawning as a chorus.
Oh,
in the
well, why
fields, and
not?
then so that they've fallen asleep, they've counted sheep to go to sleep,
Very
then been awakened by the dramatic appearance of an angel whilst asleep in the field.
See, another part of that story, which is fascinating, because a lot of research seems to suggest, and you talk about books that you've read, commentaries I've read as well, have seemed to suggest that the shepherds are out in the fields, and they're the kind of lowest of low in society, aren't they? They kind of get rid of them as far as they can because they can't trust them, and there they are looking after the sheep. Yet it's those people who are the first to see the newborn child, even the kings and the important people. It's the everyday, lowly and humble shepherd that arise first to pay their homage to the Christ child.
Because
God
I did read
on
that the shepherds in the fields were often the highway robbers.
Yeah.
And
What a
that's
bunch,
where,
eh?
to me, the Christian story actually is really good, because you're going from the highway robbers, the poor, those who are unpopular and outcast, are welcome to come and see Jesus, and the wise men come and see Jesus.
Yeah.
God appears dramatically to both ends of the spectrum, so to speak, to say, actually, all are welcome. I don't care your background. This is Jesus.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and you are important. That's what the story for me says. You are important. Everyone is important,
Mm.
and he's welcome. Welcome to the inn or to the party or to the to what's going on. And that's the message of Christmas, that we're all welcome to take part in this story afresh each year. And I'm sure, like the churches in the Beaminster team, Chris, and many of yours are open during the day with the crib lit up, maybe an opportunity for anybody who wants to just go and to reflect and to sit, at that crib and to ponder, maybe life's meanings or what the story's all about.
Do use churches. They are in all these villages as a place to ponder and reflect.
They
and
are.
think. I often get people comment on how it's nice that they can just go away and almost escape into a place of peace and quiet.
Yep.
And ponder these things. So do use these buildings.
Yeah.
They are a tool to help us connect with God.
We do our very best. All people who are members of churches, not just clergy, but all people, that we do our very best to make them places of welcome, to make them places of safety, where as much as we can, and they are there for you. As I say, Chris, regularly, to the children at the school or to adults when I was there, it's actually your church. I'm just the custodian whilst I'm here. My job is to make it as welcoming and open for you as possible. So it is your church. If you've stumbled across us by accident and wonder what these ramblings are all about this morning, the message of Christmas is you're welcome, coming in. Sing the song, as is the theme this year and last year. Come and join us at this important time, or just be on your own and ponder all these things in your hearts, like Mary did, about the coming of the child and what she's agreed to take part in. So it had frightened me to death.
After this, like after Christmas Day, then you can still continue to celebrate, because Christmas goes on for 12 days. And after 12 days, we then celebrate what's called Epiphany, which is the wise men arriving, because the wise men didn't get there in the stable originally. It took them a little while to walk as far as they had to walk.
Yeah.
So in a lot of places, we continue to celebrate Christmas until the end of January.
Because I know that certainly in some of the Mediterranean countries, Spain particularly, I know of, I can speak not with expertise because I'm not Spanish, but I know that they tend to celebrate Epiphany rather than Christmas, don't they? And the arrival of the Magi, the kings, whatever you want to call them, the wise men. And we have a family, one of our churches, who've come year on year with their children, although they've grown up, the children now, and they brought them along on Christmas Eve, and they live in Finland, and in Finland they celebrate all the gifts on Christmas Eve morning over breakfast.
Yeah, and I still remember when I went to Israel on pilgrimage as a curate.
Yeah,
we went in the early January, and there's 3 different dates for Christmas over there. I think the 25th of December, the 6th of January, and 12th of January.
yeah.
And the priests out there saying their children want 3 sets of Christmas presents, because it depends on which part of the Christian tradition you come from as to when the date of Christmas is.
The Eastern and the Western traditions and all those, and the Orthodox traditions, they all celebrate on a different day, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, Chris, I mean, dear viewer, I do wish you all a very happy Christmas, which isn't that far away now, less than a week as we record this on the Thursday. So it's less than a week away. I do wish you all a very happy Christmas. Hope that you and your families get some time to ponder, maybe to join in worship. And Chris, thank you for all your support over the past 12 months with Rev Chat, and to Callie and to Debs and the rare appearance over this year with Joe, is always a great support and whatever. Thanks to Harry for all of the hard work, and we just have the simple stuff of sitting here looking beautiful as we do, of course. But Harry, how he makes any sense of half of what we give to him. Harry, thanks. You're a great
well done,
support,
Harry.
and we are very welcome. And dear viewers, thank you to you for continuing to watch, because we would be rather silly if we sat here just talking to ourselves and no one was looking at this. And we know that some do. We know many of you find a lot of something in it. I can't say wisdom, but you certainly find a lot in it, and we're very grateful that you tune in each week and you let us know what's going on. And so, happy Christmas to you all. Happy New Year when it arrives, and we'll see you back in the in the new year into 2025, refreshed and raring to go for another year of Rev Chats. And I do hope that the man with the long white beard and the red coat, which is hopping in front of me, comes to you, and that you get lots of things. And I'm just trying to twiddle in my book here, if I can find what I'm looking for. Keep talking, Chris. Here we are. A Christmas blessing. Should I end with a Christmas blessing, Chris? May our lives and our prayers be like lights shining in a dark place. And may the blessing of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit fill our hearts and homes with light this Christmas and in the new year to come. Amen.
Thank you all very much. Goodbye. Have a great Christmas.
And you. Bye-bye now.